The online world shouldn't be a wild west where bots and bigots and trolls and others can just anonymously going around and harm people and hurt people, harass them and bully them and sledge them.
The Fed's vowing to crack down on social media abuse through world-first legislation to be tabled in Parliament this week.
As a parent talking to other parents, I can tell you the thing that concerns us is that our kids are dealing with an online world which we never knew as kids growing up.
Here's how it'll work. If you believe you've been defamed online, you'll be able to get a court order forcing social media giants like Facebook and Twitter to identify your troll. The platforms risk copping a defamation payout themselves if they either don't comply or can't work out the identity.
There needs to be an easy and quick and fast way for people to raise these issues with these platforms and get it taken down.
The legislation will work to address a recent High Court decision, which found operators of social media pages like news organisations were responsible for defamatory comments, not the social media platform itself.
To social media companies, you will be deemed the publisher.
The announcement comes after Deputy PM Barnaby Joyce demanded a crackdown, having seen the toll trolling took on his own daughter.
You can't say that my platform is a vessel of free speech, but the people who speak on that vessel don't actually give their names, don't actually identify who they are, that you allow the people therefore to stand on that platform and throw bricks at passing motorists.
And the government has form holding big tech to account, this year passing legislation to force Facebook and Google to pay for Australian news content. But while making trolls pay is a great election booster, questions are already being raised about the practicalities.
I honestly don't know how you reverse engineer identifying users, given that the users are now in the billions.
If you set up the Twitter account overseas, like how can you sue those people too?
So, will taking away their anonymity finally be enough to silence the trolls?
Emily McCarthy is a social media influencer. You might have seen her on Instagram. She's also a TV presenter, and she has copped her fair share of anonymous online abuse. Emily, tell us a little bit about what your experience with online trolling has been like.
Sure. I guess trolling started around 2 years into my career, and, you know, things were going great guns, and all of a sudden trolling came out of nowhere, and it went from sort of zero to, hey, you need to kill yourself, hey, you're disgusting, you know, you're a terrible mother, and then it even elevated to we watch your kids at the park, and, you know, messaging producers on a TV show that I was working on, letting me know that they were watching me and watching my children, and it became incredibly scary at the time.
Wow. Telling you that they're watching your children at the park. I mean, what sort of impact does that have on you when you hear something like that?
It was incredibly frightening at the time, and it took me a good couple of years to learn how to manage that, learn how to deal with that. And to be honest, I almost gave up. I almost thought, oh my goodness, I can't do this anymore. But at the same time, this is my career. This is something I love to do. This is how I support my family.
Emily, that sounds horrendous. How have you dealt with that in the past?
To be honest, I have done everything from getting legal advice to hiring a private investigator to taking it to the authorities, and time and time again we kind of go around full circle and we realise there's not much you can do. They're anonymous. You can take as many screenshots as you like. You can go on your social media and you can fight back and you can rant back and you can tell people, hey, trolling's not on. But when there's no one to be held accountable for, nothing actually happens, and sometimes it can feel really deflating.
What was your reaction when you heard about these laws?
To be honest, I got quite emotional. I actually only just heard about them a couple of hours ago. I was on a shoot, and I'm even getting a little emotional now thinking about it, because it is a huge sense of relief. It also feels like there may be a sense of security that can come around an industry that I really love. But more importantly, it is going to help the future of online trolling. My kids, I mean, social media is not going anywhere. So I want to know that my children can go on social media and enjoy these platforms for how amazing and how positive they can be, and not have to deal with the faceless attacks that you get, and sometimes daily as well.
Anonymity is a part of what goes on online, but clearly we know that some of the really nasty stuff is also people that are identified, people that are even known perhaps to you. Do you think this in itself will change that broader, pretty rancorous culture?
I think it will. I think, you know, if you are going to post something online and you know that your work colleagues can see it, your family, your friends will actually see you write these horrible things that you would never say to someone in real life, I think it's going to stop a lot of it. And yeah, people are always going to have their opinion and people are always going to arc up at something that they might find controversial. But I think for the most part, this is going to change a huge amount.
All right, well, let's hope it does. Emily McCarthy, thanks so much for chatting with us tonight.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I hope she is right. I'm optimistic, but there is an element of scepticism that I have over something like this because, because a lot of, you know, the trolling that, say, I've gotten in the past, it's been quite voluminous and it's been anonymous in some instances. And it's like, do I really want to apply for a court order to then get Facebook or Twitter to reveal who that person's identity is, to then have to go through the court system on my own time and on my own money to sue that person? You know, it's not a simple process and it's prohibitive for a lot of people who don't have the money and who don't have the time.
Isn't, though, the point of this, if it works, that you don't every time have to take them to court or sue, that actually by creating a dynamic whereby people know that they can be identified, they won't be anonymous.
It creates a deterrence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hopefully.
I think it's long overdue. I think these places are cesspits of like horrible behaviour.
Yeah.
And the platforms themselves just have not been willing to address it properly. And, you know, sometimes you do have to regulate when these places won't sort it out for themselves.
Yeah, so it's a step in the right direction.
I hope so.
However, if you do want to follow me on Instagram, at Mrs. Tommy Little, some great content, just fun for the whole family.